All right, hello and welcome. So you're about to dive into your animal behavior unit? Perfect. Think of this as your essential pre-flight check. We're going to break down the absolute must-know fundamentals so you can hit the ground running from day one. Let's get right into it. So let's start with a big question right off the bat. What's really the difference between, just training your own dog and the kind of professional behavior consulting you're here to learn? It all comes down to the stakes. The professional, the ethical, and the clinical stakes, they are just so much higher when you're the one giving that advice. And believe me, those stakes are very, very real. This unit isn't just theory. It's preparing you for a role where every piece of advice you give, every assessment you make, it has a direct impact. We're talking about the animal's well-being, the client's hope for a solution, and yeah, your own professional reputation. It's a huge responsibility. Okay, to make all of this feel a little less abstract, let's use a case study as we go. Picture this. You get a call from a new client. They're at their wits' end. Their dog has what looks like classic separation anxiety. The chewing, the barking, the whole deal whenever they're left alone. We're going to keep coming back to this dog and owner to see how these principles actually play out in the real world. So everything you're going to learn in this unit, and honestly, everything you'll do in your career, it's all built on 5 foundational principles. Get these down, and you'll be starting on solid ground. All right, let's jump into principle number 1. This is the absolute bedrock. I mean, if you don't have this, nothing else matters. It's all about one thing: being able to accurately read the animal. This is square one. And when we say reading the animal, we're talking about so much more than just, is that a happy tail wag? No, it's way deeper. We're talking about understanding the super specific body language for that species, picking up on those tiny little signs of stress or fear, and even connecting the dots between behavior and things like age, health, or whether the animal is getting enough exercise. It's the whole picture.
Okay, let's bring it back to our anxious dog. This is where principle 1 becomes crucial. Like, the second you step into that house, the owner's story is important for sure, but your job is to observe. Are you seeing those super subtle signals? The lip licking, the yawning when the dog isn't tired? That's not just fluff, that's your raw data.
And this right here is exactly why it's so fundamental. Because think about it. If you miss those signals, if you misread what the animal is actually feeling, your entire plan, your entire diagnosis, it's going to be built on incorrect assumptions. You're building your house on sand, and it's just not going to work. Okay, so once you have that accurate observation down, that leads us right into principle number 2. Now we're talking about the how. This is all about the ethical and scientific frameworks that have to guide every single intervention you make. It's not just about picking a random technique, it's about the why behind your choices. Think of these frameworks as your professional toolkit. Of course, you absolutely have to know your learning theory, your operant and classical conditioning inside and out. But it goes beyond that. You have to operate within ethical models. You'll hear a lot about acronyms like LIMA, which means least intrusive, minimally aversive. This stuff, along with things like the hierarchy of procedures, these are not just nice ideas. They are the non-negotiable, structured, and humane systems you must use to decide on a strategy. So, back to our anxious dog. How does this apply? Well, these frameworks immediately point us in the right direction. We know right away that we're not going to reach for punishment-based methods. Instead, the hierarchy tells us to start with things like management and positive reinforcement. Our goal is to build that dog's confidence and actually change how it feels about being alone, not just suppress the behavior. And let me be absolutely crystal clear on this one. Following these ethical frameworks is not optional. It's not a nice to have. A plan that ignores them isn't just risky and potentially harmful to the animal. From a purely academic view, it will not meet the assessment standard for this unit, period. All right, so we've got the animal covered and we've got the science, but what about the other half of the puzzle? That brings us to principle 3, and this one is all about the human at the other end of the leash. This is about mastering the consultation itself. Being a great consultant is a whole separate skill set. It's the ability to truly listen, active listening, and to ask those great open-ended questions that get you the real story. It's also about setting goals with your client, not for them. And maybe most importantly, it's about knowing what you don't know and recognizing the limits of your own expertise. And that last point is a huge sign of a true professional. Knowing when a case is just outside your lane, like maybe our anxious dog actually needs a full vet behaviorist workup, and then making that referral, that's not failure, not at all. In fact, it's a core professional competency. It shows you prioritize the animal's welfare above all else, and yes, it's an explicit requirement you'll be assessed on.
Okay, so you've done your observation, you've consulted with the client. Now what? What's the actual deliverable? That's Principle 4, creating the actionable plan. This is the tangible thing, the document, the roadmap that the client can actually use.
And there's a real workflow to this. First, you build the plan based on everything you've learned using proven techniques. Then, and this is key, you have to write it down so clearly that your client can actually follow it without you standing over their shoulder. After that, you show them how it's done, you demonstrate the exercises, and you set up a system for follow-up and support. It's a whole cycle.
So for our dog with separation anxiety, what does that look like? It means the owner gets a written plan that is crystal clear. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Exactly how to do a counter-conditioning exercise, how long to practice for, what a safe departure looks like. There can't be any gray area. It has to be a simple, clear path for them to follow.
And here's something you really need to hear. This isn't just good customer service. The ability to write a clear, followable plan is actually a foundation skill you'll be graded on in this unit. It's a formal requirement. Your plan doesn't just have to be smart, it has to be usable.
Which brings us perfectly to our fifth and final principle, reviewing and adapting. And this is so important because the behavior plan should never be set it and forget it. It's not a static thing. It's a living, breathing guide that has to evolve.
The best consultants work in a constant feedback loop. You're always checking in. How's it going? What's the client seeing? What is the animal's response telling you? And you take all that new data and use it to tweak and refine the plan. It's this ongoing cycle, and it's all backed up by really good, accurate records.
I really love this idea because it cuts right to the chase of what makes a real professional. I mean, anybody can download a plan and follow a recipe, right? But a pro takes in the feedback, sees what's working and what's not, and adapts on the fly. That ability to be flexible, that's what true expertise looks like.
So there they are, the 5 principles. You've got reading the animal, using those ethical frameworks, mastering the consultation with the client, creating a killer actionable plan, and finally, always reviewing and adapting. The key thing to remember is that these aren't separate boxes to check. They all weave together. They're what make a truly effective and professional consultant.
This right here, this is the foundation for everything you're about to do in this unit and for your entire career. So the real question is, are you ready to start building on it?